Okay. Welcome. How's everyone doing? Are you having a beautiful Sunday evening? Let's do a brief sound check. And as we're giving everyone a few moments to join, we'll go over just a few announcements because we have so many special offers. And it would be really good to go ahead and start talking about some of these offers as well here in a moment. But first and foremost, I want to give a disclaimer because I legally have to. I am not in any way, shape, or form affiliated with the Dolores Cannon team, nor was I affiliated when she was alive. Occasionally, I will go back and read a small blurb of one of her books if she asked me to in order to understand something, but that's very few and far between. I'm a multidimensional psychic channel. I'm not the only channel of Dolores Cannon, but she holds a special place, not just in my heart, but in my soul. And I can't stop talking with her because it would be like not talking with a part of myself, if that makes any sense. And that's never going to stop. I do not charge for these channelings. I do not make any earnings from them. I'm just saying all the things that I have to say after receiving so many letters from her legal team. And I'm not going to stop channeling her because it's completely free and it's not hurting her affiliation in any way, shape, or form. It's not hurting her. And from the spirit world, especially not hurting the spirit or the essence. So that's just something that I have to say. I don't even do like YouTube ads. I don't know if you've noticed. I don't even do those. So I get no money off of this, not looking for anything. I just enjoy it. I don't, and please don't super chat me. If so, I'll have to look at some way to refund that. I don't even accept super chats on these kind of things. Okay. Let's keep money out of this. And now let's talk about money in a different way. How ironic, right? In terms of discount offers, I offer them all the time, but I've especially been generous these past few months. And October's offers have to do with mentorship. So you get 22% off of individual one-on-one mentorships with me. Okay, that was last month we did that off of readings, and now we're doing that off of mentorship. And mentorship is interesting. A lot of people think that they're not ready or that they're not progressed enough to work with someone. None of that is true. I work with many types of people. People in the beginning stage, intermediates, advanced, adepts. I work with all types of people of all backgrounds. I do have a few things. It is an application process. And the reason for that is because I don't like to be messed around with. If you have some sort of undiagnosed psychiatric thing that you're going through and you're refusing to like really get help for yourself, I won't work with you. If you come and you're impossible, like you're some kind of impossible narcissist and you want to only do your way of spirituality, I won't work with you. With those two exceptions, okay? Everybody else is 100% welcome to work with me. The only reason why I have the application process is to make sure that you're not like drinking all the time, that you're not doing ayahuasca every day, things that are really going to prevent me from getting deeply into your soul and really working with you and bringing you into your best potential. So there's that. So mentorship looks like this. They come in packages of 3. I will sit with you once every 3 to 4 weeks for almost an hour, and then I will give you a ton of homework and I will expect you to do it. Yeah. If you're busy, don't worry. We talk about it. We talk about why you didn't do it. I don't shame you, but then we go forth into another lesson. And I work very individually catered towards what a person wants and what they need. I'm not easy to work with. I'll tell you that. Some people I can see in chat have worked with me for a long time, and some have had readings with me. So maybe you can ask some of them to tell you what it was like if you're curious. But I work with developing channels and people who are looking for their purpose. I work with people who feel kind of just lost and stagnant and want to go forward in their lives. I can tell you what I don't do. I'm not here to help you make money. I'm just here to bring about your ultimate potential in your soul, to find out what your spiritual gifts and abilities are and to help you master them. Everything else is about you getting to know your soul. Okay. And that's it. That's our biggest offer. I don't want to go too on and on and on about offers because we have so many of them this month, but we are channeling Edgar Casey again, for him to tell us about his unique methodology for getting into the Akashic records and to give us 2 new and 1 updated methodology. Okay. That's going to be fun. We just channeled him yesterday on here on YouTube, but we're going to be doing this one in November. And there's a current early bird discount for that one. I believe it is 30%. So you can get that if you message us or when you join Patreon. All those links are above. Oh, yes. For new Patreon members, that's my spiritual community. It's linked above. And for any current member who increases their tier, we have a free class valued at $111. It was super powerful back in 2019 or so when I did it. And it is called Empathy as a Superpower. And it's about taking everything that you think as a weakness and turning that into your power. It's about your responses to people. It's about responding to people who gaslight you, responding to the whole I'm drained around crowds feeling, responding to the parts of you who think that you're stuck due to core belief systems. All those parts of you that are holding you back, we address in that class. And it is free for the first time when you become a Patreon member or when you increase your tier. Okay, that's enough. I feel like that's just talk. I just talk myself out. And then I lose connection with what I want to really say when I connect with her. So we're going to get deeply into that now. As promised, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what she wants to say. I'm going to go over some of the Patreon member questions that were put in here in advance that she really responded to. And then I'm going to ask you to ask her your questions. The topic that we bring today is New Earth updates, the potential for New Earth and where we stand now in our ascension process as humans. The secondary topic is the cosmic energies, the updates on what ascension energies look like. Okay. So cosmic energy updates, ascension, and new earth potential. Any questions you have, go ahead and start putting them in chat for her. And I'm going to go back into my phone for a second to pull out some of the powerful Patreon questions. Okay. Okay, there were so many. Which one do you want to go through first? Here it is. Yes. She loved this question from Bahia. The question is, in a world of constant transformation and shifting timelines, one thing that does not seem to be changing as quickly is the human conscious collective's attachment to fear. She really agrees with that. And she loved that you brought it up, she said. Let's read the rest of what you said here in your post. Through the challenges we faced in the last couple of years to now moving forward into some truly tumultuous times, what is the most relevant way to engage with Dolores on an individual and in a collective way? She said, you would talk to me like you would talk to anyone else without any pretense. Don't talk to me with pretense. Talk to me with the intention of just getting a truthful answer. And talk to me with the intention of learning how to ask your own subconscious the question and then remove your own blinders in receiving that answer. When you talk to me and you're ready for truth, then your own subconscious lights up and it completely gives you an access point to truth. But if you're not ready for it, it doesn't happen as clearly, and then confusion gets involved. So in order to avoid confusion and to really receive the answers that are clearest, are most relevant, and will empower you, you will need to remove your own systems of attachment. Fear, something they always told me, fear is a system of attachment. And when you can become really conscious of how fear operates in your mind, body, soul module, then you expand outside of it, and then you're ready to hear the truth. Let me read the rest of your question. In life, Dolores pioneered through this seemingly uncharted field without so much as a hint of fear. And in my view, this is how she paved the foundation for so many of us to awaken from our collective slumber. Can she offer any insights on becoming fearless and courageous? She said, I wasn't fearless. I was and am courageous. Courageous doesn't mean you don't have fear, but it means that you have a certain esteem, a certain ability to transcend your own levels of lack, to transcend your own attachments and blinders. You must be able to live a clear life. You must address when your minds aren't clear. You must address that by becoming very observant and conscious of your choices. My modality can only show you so much about your past if you aren't observant of your choices in your present. The two work together, the past and the present, until you are only aware that you operate in modules of time. When you become aware that you operate in modules of time, you will stop seeing something as then or now. At this point of your awareness, suddenly your life will become less challenged, less resistant, and you will feel full of vitality. Bahia said, I hope we might see Candace today. I didn't ask her. I really thought about it. Been thinking about Candace for a week straight. I kid you not. And my little mind said, she's spending time with probably her grandbabies and she's on the weekend. Don't do that to her. So I didn't offer to facilitate, ask her to facilitate for that reason. Let's see if you have any questions. We'll kind of alternate between your questions and the Patreon questions. Oh, wow. If we don't have the money, are we not ready to work with people? Dolores says, no, that's not what it's about. And she wants me to slam my hand down on the table, but I'm holding my hand with my other hand. She said she was a knee slapper. Sometimes she would slap her hand down on her knee to make a point. She says, that's not what it's about. It's that you have to develop a certain esteem that you are capable of supporting yourself as a human, supporting your basic needs, supporting and thriving in your life, to be clear and confident that you can support yourself. And money is only a show of that. It means very little. You've heard me say it time and time again that the idea of law of attraction is only relevant to where you stand in your thoughts concerning lack and where you stand in your thoughts concerning your soul in its cosmic nature. So it's not about whether you have it, whether you don't. It's about your center of power and your capacity to support yourselves as responsible human beings. That's all. That's all it is with law of attraction. Most people who are effectively successful at mastering the law of attraction in these new era, in this new era of ascension, these are souls that have deeply mastered a certain esteem, a certain confidence, not in themselves, but in their ability to be supported by the universe cosmically and to have that show up in their lives. So, for some of you, that could look like becoming better at saving. For some of you, this could be planned. For some of you, when you spend money on something that you want, it could be that you have certain windfalls of money. But for most of you, it means you have developed yourselves as conscious, aware beings who are connected to a center of their power. You are aware of your exchange of power in this world. That's what it's about. Okay, let's take another Patreon question and then we'll go back to YouTube and take your question. This person wants to know about repeating cycles like the fall of Atlantis versus the wars and the global awakening at this time. She wants to know what we could learn from that time of Atlantis and Lemuria to use right now in our spiritual and personal growth. Versus in the collective, are we finally tilting to the slightly more positive side? She said, "You are more fearful than ever before and more excited than ever before. You are shifting, but you are doing it in a unique way that no longer involves duality as a platform for your growth. You are shifting, and this is the newest thing in your era, is that you are shifting in a manner that involves three potentials, three choices, not two. You've noticed that you get really upset when someone says, look at a scenario or a potential as good or bad or right or wrong or lightness or darkness or evil or love. And that's for very good reason. To believe and categorize in that way in your current ascension process is to also believe that you are not a cosmic being. The cosmic energy update at this point is that you are becoming aware that you are a cosmic being with another way of being, another way of shifting, another way of expansion, another way of growth, another potential for being a bridge of consciousness between what you've always felt would be right or wrong. And this consciousness, well, you're not there yet, but you're grasping it. You're holding it in your hands and you're playing around with it like putty, like an artist with clay. Like an artist with clay. That's it. And you don't know what you're developing and where this is going in your ascension, but you do know that you need to do something outside of what you've been told. You do know that you have galactic intervention. You do know that that intervention is not so kind. You do know that when I was alive and informed, that I often said that there was a rule of non-interference, and you do know that that now has been broken. You are smart enough to know these things, you see. But are you smart enough to get past your collective angst, fear, resentment, and anger that holds you down or shifts you into nuclear war? We aren't sure. It's up to you. That's up to you. Let's take a question from our YouTube viewers. The next one is from Cassandra, and it says, how will ascension symptoms change in the near future? She said, for the next few years, the way that ascension changes is that all of you are becoming more multidimensional in the way that you access the subconscious. That's the first thing. When you first met this channel and when I first began working through her, it was special and channeling was a bit of an unusual phenomenon. But now, almost everyone does it. It's become a dime a dozen. Yet, how many of you are doing so in complete power and truth? That is something I want to ask you because I'm observing that that is still few and far between. You all have the gift for it, and you all are shifting into the awareness of it, but many of you are still not trusting, not having that unique esteem to go forward in this. I wouldn't have preferred the word in my time, but it's the word that you know, and it's the word that we'll use, and we won't argue and bitter over semantics. We won't bicker over this. When you're talking to me, I need you to understand that you must remove every ounce of your filter if you want to communicate. The first sign of ascension in this new era is that almost all of you are channeling. Isn't that phenomenal? Isn't that exciting? It's a time where the majority of people on this human collective, in this human collective on Earth, on this planet, are channeling. If not, your spirit mediums. If not, your healers. If not, you're something. You're healing practitioners of some kind, whether it be my process or what I've noticed is in the shifting of New Earth is that many of you are simply becoming channels of your own kind, whether that be through music or art. Earth is becoming multidimensional and creative. And that's the direction that New Earth is going. But you're still very much in angst. You're still highly catalyzed, highly offended, highly resistant when someone comes in and tells you, you should do this, you shouldn't do that, you should feel this way, you shouldn't feel that way. And that's what's new. That's for a reason. That reason has to do with the middle way consciousness. This is where you're going in Ascension. This is what's new about Ascension. Insofar as your physical mannerisms, how it physically translates in your body, it's moving more into a neurological pattern. It's moving more into an immunological pattern. Your immune systems are affected. Your sleep cycles are affected. And you can become a little more responsible in changing that. You do need to, if you want to be in this work, if you want to understand how Earth is splitting off in this way, it's not that 5D is a place, a time, an ascertained moment that I've discussed in the past. It's that it has always been there as a potential, and some can see it and some can't. That still hasn't changed. Some of you can see it and some of you can't. When you're shifting inside and outside of the container that you call time, you begin to transcend it and then to step back into it and work with it differently. You become shapeshifters of the body and time shifters in the container of the mind, you see. You understand the value of what I'm sharing with you. When you become shapeshifters of the body, you can transcend medical illnesses, unexplainable illnesses, chronic ones, serious ones, or mild ones in the blink of an eye. It was as if it will be as if you didn't have it, the illness. When you are shifting with the container of the mind, when you become a time shifter, your mind can handle many things at once, and simultaneously you will choose to focus on only one thing because you must have a center point, channels. You must have a focus, practitioners. You must have a focus no matter what you're doing and learning at this present point of awareness. And if you can't hold a focus, all the many things that would be happening as you're shifting through time with the body all those many things will not happen as constructively, and you will begin to fall short in efficiency. Practically, things will look like they're getting done, but you're dropping a lot of balls during the juggle if you don't have one that you're holding and putting your focus towards. Keep that in mind. Focus is, it needs to be intense. Next question from a YouTuber. Is there an unchanging identity? In the module or container that you call human, there is an unchanging identity within the spirit. The soul is simply trying out different costumes of identity for size, and you're playing very seriously. You're taking yourselves very seriously about it. So the unchanging identity is not a name. You won't have a name for the subconscious or higher self. The soul will give you many names, perhaps a most mastered name, but that isn't your unchanging identity. Your unchanging identity does not have a form. Your unchanging identity cannot even be described by me or by anyone to you. Okay, let's go back to a Patreon question, and then we'll take another YouTube question. Has Dolores any guidance for this particular group who are listening here now as to how best to be with an increasing sense of being in alternative realities concurrently? She said, I'll give you something. You remember back in my day, they would say, stop, drop, and roll when there was a fire. Your neurological systems are on fire. Your nervous systems are on fire. You need to stop talking. Enough. And listen. Stop, drop, and listen. Stop, drop all topics, and listen. You're asking the subconscious so many relevant questions, but you don't listen enough to see how it may show up in the continually changing alternative realities that are presenting before you in even a split second. It can change. You will notice these things. It's as if time is frozen and you're the one that's moving through it more quickly. I've discussed that many times with you, and I'll bring it back today because it's more relevant even now than it was then. Being aware of this when time seems to be slow, guess what? People may not understand your belief systems. People may not be able to catch up with you. And you can't slow down for them, you see? Keep that in mind. You can't slow down for them, but you do need to slow down your mind if you wish to keep up with your own subconscious and how you are transcending and becoming, as I said, a shapeshifter and a mind shifter. Those two things. That would be what is new about Ascension now. About the cosmic energies and how they're shifting as you become shapeshifters in the form and mind shifters in the container of the astral world around you, cosmic energies are responding and making you question everything that you thought was true for you. Have you noticed that what you thought was true, who you thought you were just this year is changing so dramatically that not even you can keep up? That's what's new about the cosmic energies. You can't keep up. Okay, let's take another YouTube question. Um, Oh, you want to ask her about Lucifer. This person says, is Lucifer here to help humanity grow? Is he someone we can communicate with for help? She says, this is a galactic being that holds no more or less power than any of you in your transcended form. Why are you still afraid of him? This is a being who chooses interference because he chooses to reflect components of the mind that help you understand truth. And the only way this being can do that is to deeply interfere every single time you sway from your own power. Every time you sway from what you know is true by adopting the dualistic modalities, by adopting truth in left or right or wrong or good or bad, you will hear a little voice in your mind that says, what if I'm wrong? What if that's not right? What if I get hurt? Or what if someone else gets hurt? And this is the voice of what you call ego. This is the part of you that is the Lucifer, that is the Satan. It's not about whether or not you can communicate with him. You can communicate with any being you wish. I don't advocate for or against any being that is confined within a religious module. I never have, and I never will. And you're wishing me to choose this guy is a good guy and this guy is a bad guy. But do you see where Ascension is taking you? You're better than that. And that's what this being is trying to show you. That's what my work also tried to show you. When you feel unsafe with something, you need to go deeply into the subconscious. You need to be very quiet in the mind until your own soul, your own oversoul, whatever you want to call it, tells you what you're ready for and what you're not. So this isn't that simple. This is not a yes or no answer. This is up to you. I'm going to go back into my Patreon questions for a moment, and then we'll scroll up for another YouTube question. Oh, this is good. This person said, I would like to know if there are any new wave of volunteers that has come to Earth since her last writing. She said, since that time, at that time there were 3, and at this time there are 7. What I'm noticing now is that there are 7 waves of volunteers, and there will continue to be many families that represent a newer age of consciousness. When something isn't broken, we don't fix it. But something is broken about the way that Ascension appears to be stagnant. And at this point in time, you are, how should I say it? You are walking with blindfolds. In this way, I am immensely proud of you. And in another way, I wish for you to take the blindfolds off because you're walking in a unique direction. You've chosen your goals. And yet you still wish to be blindfolded to the truth. You still wish to be working towards consciousness while simultaneously being deeply unaware of love. You're putting all of your focus on evil as if you can fight it. And your focus should be upon the soul itself. If you can't focus on yourself, focus on the soul of another until you can. It's a first step. It's not optimal, but it's a first step. That's one of the many various reasons I created the QHHT process. It's not without its flaws, but it can get you to the place where you become more receptive to the soul. And the subconscious can then direct you, if even for a moment, so that your waking life will be deeply connected. At this point, you're talking out the left side of your mouth. And what are you doing? When you're eating, you're eating. When you're sleeping, you're sleeping. You can walk towards consciousness or pretend that you would rather label something darkness and only walk towards light. Or you would label something light and only walk towards darkness. But my work was never about that. Do you understand? Let's take another YouTube question. Is the heart trapped within the mind on a deep level? She says, collectively, that is currently true. Of course, in the higher realms, we would always say that's not true. But you are walking towards consciousness while living in lies. Do you see? In this way, you are dreaming a collective dream together, that the heart is trapped in the mind. You are walking towards the heart while being the servant of your mind. And you're being the servant of the world collective mind as well. And it doesn't work that way. Find those moments when you're being too loyal towards duality, too loyal towards the this or that mentality, and attempt to find something, even if it's discomforting, even if it's so uncomfortable, so displeasing to yourself and others, find a way that is safe for you to get out of the standard confines of the collective mind thought process. Do this individually. Let's see if we have any more questions. Let's see. I don't see any more questions that she's really leaning towards. So if you have anyone, just drop it in there real quick if you have a question for her. She says, overall, the overarching collective identity of the subconscious is in confusion. It's in disarray. There are components of the mind that you have allowed to blind you. When you feel confusion, that makes ascension virtually stagnant. And literally, when you feel confusion, you're afraid. You are resistant to something, and you need to ask the subconscious why, and not just ask in hypnosis, not just ask in my modality. You need to then ask and do something about it. Follow it up in your conscious waking moments. Become aware of how your mind is trying to reel you back into fear and confusion again. It's pulling you in. And don't let it. Actively choose different. At this point in ascension, this is about your conscious choices. You can do all of the QHHT that you want. And then when your life looks the same, how are you ascending? That's what I ask you. What is different? What is changing? You can become aware of your truth, but how are you transcending your pain? How? Okay. Um, Let me see if she wants to say anything else. Yes, okay. She says the biggest theme concerning ascension for potential of new earth at this time is to realize that you can work in time and transcend it by transcending the mind. You can work in my process and then take an action to change your life. Don't simply come back to my process over and over again. Focus on questions that are relevant and that matter. Don't become distracted practitioners or clients with questions that are simply for entertainment value. Get out of entertainment valuation systems and get into transformative questions. And then follow your subconscious advice. It's there to guide you. What is real? She said, everything that you see around you isn't, and yet it is when you're giving it such power. This is a truly irrelevant question for spiritual expansion. You know, many masters have told you for thousands of years that what is real in the higher realms, well, they've told you what isn't. Love is, fear isn't. But how do you practically apply that in a world that fear becomes real, so real that it could devastate your life? So that question only chooses to bring more pain, not more awareness. It causes your clients to become more resistant, not more open. It causes practitioners to ask fear-based questions, not relevant expansion questions. That question has always been at the tip of your tongues. And the answer is not something you can practically utilize. Let's focus, practitioners, on asking more relevant questions. I'm here with you at this time, and you're all quiet. You weren't this way when you would see me at an event or a conference, were you? Ask me those real, relevant questions. What is real and relevant in your individual lives? Ascension is a numbers game. And since you have stopped ascending collectively, you are embarking upon a new earth journey individually while waiting on things to collectively change for you because you're stuck in that old module, you see. Ascension is an individuation module now. Do you see that that has changed? What is real and relevant for you? Where are you placing your attention? Forget even the question that spirituality tells you. Is it fear or is it love? You're smart enough to know the difference. How is that helping? Fear has many covers. It's sneaky. Ask your soul to guide you, to give you a relevant practical guidance system for the many ways that you operate in fear. Ask your higher self or subconscious to show you in your own life how you live in fear, how you think in fear, how you process your relationships from fear. Because now fear is going into spirituality. Now that the law of non-interference has shifted and you have galactic interference, and oftentimes in fearful ways, it's more difficult now. You've shifted your focus on resisting the help from galactic beings. You don't want interference. And then on the other side of your mouth, you talk and say, but I need it and I need the aliens to save me. You can't have both. The role of ascension currently is about your power and connecting so deeply to it that you will never even have these questions again. You see? All right, guys. I think she wants to stop there, and I do too because it's Sunday and I want to go spend some time resting. Thank you all for joining today, and I love you. Thank you for supporting my work. Channeling's always been a big part of my life, and I love that I have this platform to be able to share it with you and to do so for free. Thank you for those of you who are joining my Patreon community and supporting financially because I don't have a day job. This is it. So thank you so much for that support. Would you do me a favor? Would you? Would you subscribe? If you're here today or if you've unsubscribed because you don't like notifications, that's one thing. But could you just subscribe? That would be super helpful for me and supportive. And even better than financial support is just subscribing. And if you feel like it, turning on that notification bell. Okay. Thank you so much for being here live for me. I always feel so blessed when I jump on here and there's more than 100 people listening to what she has to say. And she is just a master. Dolores is a master with ascension and with consciousness. And I always love sharing her with you. So thank you so much. And don't forget about my Joseph Campbell channeling this Thursday on my Patreon community. He's also around all week and he is incredible too. I thought that he would be much different, but he is like this gentle, kind old man who talks about spiritual things outside of having any spiritual jargon. It is incredible. So I hope you'll stick with me for the Thursday Patreon channeling of Joseph Campbell. I'll see you then. Bye, guys. Have a good one.